Good evening, everyone. ED215 Technology for Teaching and Learning, reported by yours truly, Darlene Al Hingpit from Bitalad 278. The topic I'll be reporting is about development and use of non digital or conventional materials. The contents are: first is the introduction, summary, instructional materials, factors to consider in developing instructional materials, importance of learning materials in teaching, diorama definitions and types of diorama, nature table definition, wall display definition, rope and pole display board definition, zigzag board definition, and last is the flip chart definition. Let's start first with the introduction. Teaching becomes rewarding when learners get the most from instruction as manifested in their performance. An important element in engaging learners is when the strategy used in delivering the lesson uses an instructional material. When properly and appropriately used, it can spice up a classroom activity. Teaching is really exciting when both learners and teachers learn to cooperate with one another. When learners learn to listen to an appropriate instruction given by their teachers. Also, when teachers uses an instructional materials while delivering a specific lessons. These instructional materials may come in varied forms. One group refers to the conventional or non-digital tools. A classroom will always need a chalkboard or dioramas, puppets, terrarium, and the like. Will always find their significance in any classroom. However, nowadays, lessons can be made more relevant and engaging for learners as digital tools are integrated. Before the pandemic happened, we experienced or study face to face. Both both learners and teachers meet personally. Teachers conduct tests to students using test papers, but now we experience a new normal education because of the pandemic. We meet virtually using Google Meet or Zoom. And the classroom activity we used is the Google Classroom, where all activities is being posted there. Summary: every teachers need instructional materials to enhance their teaching and learning. These instructional materials include print and non-print items like drawings, lists, posters, magazines, pictures, and the like. Also, instructional materials have its several roles in education, such as promoting meaningful communication and effective learning. And the other one is it ensures better retention and making learning more permanent. Sometimes it refers to any pre-existing materials that are being incorporated, though there are some factors to consider, just like to develop a storyboard and working outline based on the subject goals and the objectives. Also, exploring the possibility of adapting concepts of other teachers without infringing on anyone's copy protected design. Some examples of instructional materials are diorama, nature table, writing board, flip chart, zigzag board, wall display in the rope, and pole display board. So instructional materials helps every students to enhance their learning. Both print and non-print items can enhance every student's effective learning. So there is some examples of instructional materials, and I'll explain that later. Reflection. Instructional materials are a great help for us soon in teaching in any level of students. It may either related to many media that are arising to this generation in the present time. They have a great contribution to help us explain or let students discover some topics or even related topics. Hearing the word instructional materials, we either think them as supplementary materials that will help us. Instructional materials is an important factor for us students to learn something on specific lessons. Application. Learning the use of non-digital or conventional materials contributes a lot because it relates literate technology or the illiterate one. Including some printed materials, we can also teach students in a unique way where they may be eager to learn or in an interesting that may catch their attention. So both non-digital or digital materials is a big help for every student. Instructional materials, also known as teaching or learning materials, are any collection of materials including animate and inanimate objects and human and non-human resources that a teacher may use in teaching and learning situations to help achieve desired learning objectives. So instructional materials, also known as teaching or learning materials, it helps students to learn more regarding on a specific lessons. Examples of these are drawings, kits, textbooks, posters, magazines, flip chart, newspapers, diorama, pictures, or recording videos. Instructional materials refers to any pre-existing materials that are being incorporated as well as to those that will be specifically develop their objectives. Hagler 2004. There are also several factors to consider in developing instructional materials. So instructional materials is really an important pre-existing materials because it helps students to understand, to learn, and to discover something to any specific lessons. So here are the factors to consider in developing instructional materials. First is develop a storyboard and working outline based on the subject goals and objectives. So if you want to develop a storyboard, it must be based on the subject goals, the subject objectives. Second is the identify existing institutional resources, including materials and teachers' capability. So you must identify some resources if you want to develop instructional materials. Third, the teacher may research off-the-shelf materials that have been developed by others to determine if their approach could be useful. So a teacher can research regarding on a specific materials so that they know if that material is useful or not. Fourth, explore the possibility of adopting new concepts of other teachers without infringing on anyone's copy protected design. So if you want to explore adapting or new concepts, you must not copy anyone's concept. You must create on your own. Fifth, modify existing materials based on objectives of the lesson. So the materials must be based on the objectives of the lesson. It must be based. Sixth, if the instructional materials are effective, you can share them with other materials. If you develop instructional materials and you can say that it's effective, you can share them to other teachers so that you can have an opinion to your co-teachers if your instructional materials are effective to them. Seventh, the developer can also sell his or her materials available. So, a developer can sell his or her own materials because it's her will if he or she will sell his developing materials. Instructional materials are a great help in stimulating and facilitating the learning of the learners. According to Wright 1976 1, as cited in Kaskir 2006, many media and many styles of visual presentations are useful to the language learner. All audio-visual materials have positive contributions to language learning as long as they are used at the right time and in the right place. In the teaching learning process, learners use their eyes as well as their ears, but their eyes are basic in learning. So according to Wright, instructional materials are a great help because it can enhance or facilitate the learnings of every learners. They can enhance their knowledge on specific lessons. The importance of learning materials in teaching. Instructional materials are the tools used in educational lessons, which includes active learning and assessment. Basically, any resources a teacher uses to help them teach the students is in instructional materials. It's important because they can significantly increase student achievement by supporting student learning. This process aids in the learning process by allowing the students to explore the knowledge independently, as well as providing repetition. Instructional materials constitute alternative channels of communication, which a teacher can use to convey more vividly instructional information to learners. They represent a range of materials which can be used to extend the range of vicarious experience of learners in a teaching learning situation. So instructional materials are an important tool used in any educational lessons which can help students facilitate their learnings. Diorama. The word diorama can either refer to a 19th century mobile theater device or in modern usage a three-dimensional full-size or miniature model, sometimes enclosed in a glass showcase for a museum. Dioramas are often built by hobbyists as part of related hobbies such as military vehicle modeling, miniature figure modeling, or aircraft modeling. So, diorama is either a 19th century mobile theater device or a three-dimensional full-size. Dioramas are built through hobbies. So as what you've seen on the slide, it has a picture. So this is an example of a diorama. It's a sea creature, sea figure, where it has some sea animals. So diorama are small scenes created to build an exciting scenes created of layers of materials, all depicting a similar concept or theme. So if you make a diorama, it must have a concept or a theme. For example, on the picture, it has a sea theme. How to make a diorama? First, you must planning for diorama. First, make a list of the items you'll need and gather your supplies. Second, make a rough sketch of your ideal diorama. Third, choose a concept or theme. Fourth, research the subject. And last is select a container. So before doing a diorama, you must plan first. You must make a list, make a sketch, choose in an appropriate concept or theme, research regarding on your concept, and select a container you'll be using. So after planning for diorama, you must building the scene. First is to create your background first. Build up the ground or landscape. Add details to make the scene realistic. Set up the miniatures if applicable. Glue everything down when you're happy with the arrangement. So if you're building a diorama, you must start first with the background. It's either you build it landscape or anything you want. You can add details to make your diorama more realistic. And if you're happy with the arrangement, then that's it. So there are types of diorama models: the architectural dioramas, entertainment dioramas, museum dioramas. Let's start first with number 1. Architectural dioramas can be as small as 12 by 12 or as large as 20 by 20 or larger, and can be built to emphasize both daylight and nighttime views. Pricing can vary from a few thousand to hundreds of thousands, depending on size and complexity. So architectural dioramas, from the word architecture. So it's either 12 by 12 size, that's small, or large as 20 by 20. Second is entertainment dioramas. Can be as small as 2 by 2 or as large as 50 by 50 or larger, and can be built with internal or external enhancement and props to gain a full experience. Pricing can vary from a few thousand to hundreds of thousands depending on size and complexity. So entertainment dioramas is for entertainment from the word itself. The size is either small as 2 by 2 or as large as 50 by 50 or larger. Third, museum dioramas can be as small as 5 by 5 or as large as 30 by 30 or larger. Pricing can vary from tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands or in some cases millions, depending on size and complexity. So museum dioramas can vary from thousands, tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands, or in some cases, millions of price. So, the types of dioramas models are architectural, entertainment, and museum. And the pricing can depend on their size and complexity. Nature table. It is a table or a shelf in your home where together with your child you craft beautiful scenes that reflect the rhythms of the seasons outside. The benefits of this practice include contributing to healthy childhood development, combating nature deficit disorder, and cultivating the bonds of your family. So nature table from the word nature. It's about nature as what you've seen on the slide. It has a picture, so that's an example for a nature table. This is a table that contains scenes related to the current season. So a nature table is related to a beautiful scenes, to related to a current season. It's either a summer, winter, or any seasons. So that's an example of nature table as what you've seen on the slide. So here are some 7 nature table success tips. First, value simplicity. Well, we all know that simplicity is beauty, so we must value being simple. Keep your table uncrowded. Identify an outdoor area. We called ours the fine garden, that has the purpose of housing extra nature items that don't fit inside on your nature table. So one nature table success tips is to value simplicity. Never keep your table uncrowded. You must make it simple because simplicity is beauty. Second, use natural materials. Third, freshen up the seasonal theme of your table regularly. This mimics changes in nature. So, in doing nature table, you must choose a seasonal theme. Fourth is model care and respect of the seasonal table objects for your child. Fifth, keep elaborate adult explanations about nature to a minimum. Children best learn about nature through experiential storytelling and intuitive ways. Fifth, colors are important because they express the moods of the seasons. The use for your autumn nature tables are warm red, fairy orange, orange yellow, tree bark tan, earthy brown, and mouse gray. Examples of winter colors are cranberry red, snow white, dark water blue, royal purple. Spring colors are delicate green, lemony yellow, creamy white, soft skies blue. Summer colors are butterscotch yellow, verdant green, poppy flower red, and robin's egg blue. So in making or doing a nature table, you must use a color representing on the seasonal theme you've chosen. Last is have fun with your children and your nature table. So here are the 7 nature table success tips. Wall display. It expands the time students devote to thinking about the science ideas and practices they are learning because they view and talk about what is displayed with peers and their families. So wall display is really nice and creative. So in the picture, that's some examples of a wall display. It can be seen in the classroom. So wall display is a collection of many types of items and materials put up on a wall to make an interesting and informative display. Wall display from the word wall. It must be display on the wall. A wall display is interesting and it can add an informative display of the classroom. Rope and pull display board. Evolving wall displays help students keep track of what they have learned and help them make connections and develop coherency between ideas, tasks, and lessons. It also consists of two parallel horizontal poles tied loosely together with rope. So rope and pole display uses rope, uses pole, and it must be displayed on a board. So as what you've seen on this slide, it has some pictures, so that's some examples of rope and pole display board. In the classroom, teachers use the display board to teach children different topics in a creative way. So this type of display board can help students to learn something on a specific topic in a creative way. Also, the main advantage of teaching with display boards is that it helps in visual learning, which helps the children remember what they have learned for a longer period of time. Zigzag board. The magic of zigzag board lies in the ability to initiate meetings from the up, enabling others to join in from their desktop browser. Those participants will see the whiteboard and observe changes in real time. So that's an example of a zigzag board is what you've seen on the slide. That's one of the example of zigzag board. It is a multi-board series of 3 or 4 rectangular board. So on the picture, it has 3 series of boards and it forms zigzag. So that's a zigzag board. Last is the flip chart. It is a stationary item consisting of a pad of large paper sheets. It is typically fixed to the upper edge of a whiteboard or supported on a tripod or four-leg easel. Such charts are commonly used for presentations. So on the picture, it's an example of a flip chart. Also, flip chart can be used in drawings. It can be used to a learner if he or she wants to draw. Because flip chart is a large paper sheets. Also, it is a stand with large sheets of paper which is used when presenting information at a meeting. There are 3 conference rooms, each of which is equipped with a screen, flip chart, and audio-visual equipment. So that's an example on a flip chart as what you've seen on the slide. So thank you everyone for listening. Stay safe and God bless us all. Bye. Have a blessed night, everyone.